Good morning, everybody. My name is Osa. We are playing Farming Simulator 25 on the Moss Valley map. It's going to rain soon. That will be fun. And yeah, I did actually manage to finish harvesting all the red beets. And I must say the worker was not the greatest, or the setting up the GPS was not of the greatest. Right at the end of the field I had to go and get the tractor and implements repaired, and when I came back they would not reset the field's guidance steering path. So that was a problem. I had to do everything that remained by hand, which was not the greatest. But the field is cleared, the field needs to be ploughed. So guess what we're doing? Bought the subsoiler. So we've kind of used up a lot of money. And why are you not following the pathway? There we go. Yeah, so we've used up a lot of our ready cash, and the only thing we have left is that field of sunflowers. But it is now fertilised and it has been sprayed with weed killer, which may or may not be a bad thing. I did it anyway. We can't afford the field directly in front of us, so that's not going to be a thing. Well, at least we can't at the moment. There is entirely the possibility that, hey, the sunflowers might fetch us some money. Or not. But I did end up buying a new tractor, again. The truck is now back in bale carrying mode. It's September. We can't. Well, we also will get some grass next month, and I sprayed the grass fields as well. So hopefully, yield in the grass fields will be good. That water looks good. But oh, I forgot to look at the time played at the beginning. So last week when we started the episode we were at 8 hours played on this map, and I think we're up to about 24, so I put in about 16 hours this week finishing off the harvest of the red beets and starting the ploughing. So we have one of these. It's 3 meters wide because the roads are too narrow for 4 meter equipment or equipment that doesn't fold. So that's the limitation at the moment. I do not have a seeder, and I'm going to have to use... I mean, I don't want to use any more money right now because we are going to have to rent a harvester and header for the sunflowers. That should be fine, I guess. We also have news this week that precision farming is coming out in about 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, I believe. I also saw that there was a patch to the additional game information panel thing, which included correcting the month of November and October. I think, if I remember rightly, October used to read as November in Farm Sim 19. Well, we finally fixed that, so hey, yeah. But yeah, with this implement, I think it's 150 horsepower. So the only tractor I could use the class, but we use that to do the harvest. So I'm using the big Deutz. We have the smaller Deutz, which may or may not be staying on the farm. The problem is because workers are really not playing nicely on this map at all. The opportunity of setting a worker off to do a task while I go and do something else is not going to be as easy as I hoped it would be. So, although, yeah, at least having 3-4 tractors does mean I can spread the workload around so they won't all get too aged too quickly. Because otherwise you have one tractor, you do all the work with one tractor, and then you have to replace it every half year. Especially as I'm using used tractors, not brand new ones. Hopefully I'm getting all these rows done right. And I am letting this tractor go way too long. Well, I was going to say way too long on maintenance, but it's 50% on maintenance. Fuel is the driving part of this problem. How are we doing? We're kind of halfway by the looks of it. Well, we're not quite. Now the nice thing is you can drive through the hedges, but I don't know what it is about the fields that is causing guidance, steering, and workers to have problems, or whether it was something. Yeah, maybe it was the harvester didn't like the field, and yeah, narrow working width. Sometimes that can be an issue. I don't know. I guess as time goes by, we'll figure that out. But we do now have a vegetable harvester, so we can do onions, red beets, and parsnips, I believe. Or was it carrots? I can't remember. It might be carrots and parsnips and red beets. But either way, we've now got a harvester. We can avail ourselves of that crop. Though I don't have a planter for that. So next year, year 2 harvest, we're probably going to keep things simple. We'll keep the 3 fields of grass. We've got a fast bale, so I can wrap it, I can ted it and turn it into hay. We've got a sheep field, and I've cleared the entrance to that out, so I might buy a dozen sheep or thereabouts. Because they're pretty... Sheep are really easy to look after. All we will need to buy a water tanker, which is a small expense, but I don't think, if I only go for about 10 sheep, I'm not going 1,500 this time. I probably don't need to worry about having a big water tanker. Probably don't need to worry about keeping too many bales either, but I think what I'm going to do, we get about 3 bales from each of our fields. We might get a little bit more because I've fertilized the fields. We cut the fields, which creates one level of fertilization, and I sprayed them, so that's a second level of fertilization. So if I'm lucky, that will mean we could potentially double our grass yield and get 6 bales per field instead of 3. Last time I did make 3 grass bales and didn't wrap them. No, I made 2 grass bales and didn't wrap them, and I made a grass bale wrapped. So we have ended up, I did sell that one silage bale, which was worth 1,200, so for what it's worth, but it's only one. But it's small income, 3 times a year, it may be enough to keep the farm running. I have accidentally bought a pallet of solid fertilizer, which I don't need and I can't sell back, so we've got a pallet of solid fertilizer and I can't do anything with it right now. I don't have a spreader. I wasn't planning on getting a spreader, so that's a thing. Shall we put cruise control on and have a look at the field? And the field is coming out good. Seed bed and needs ploughed, nearly gone. Looks like this field might have been quite well fertilized. And the reason I say that is, get that round to there. Whoa, 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 whoa. When we look here, we've got some blue lines there, which I believe are fertilized lines. So it looks like we didn't harvest all of the crop. And where the blue lines are is remnants of, there was crop here that was fully fertilized, and hey, it's still fully fertilized. And now we're ploughing it in. We maintain the fertilization state. But anyway, that's a thing. What else has been happening? So I've made a couple of additional purchases for the model train in the basement, which I hadn't been planning to do this month, but I am so far ahead of where I planned to be. I'm moving on to the next stage, and there's some things I need on the shelf ready to use when I get around to it. But as of this weekend, I could start laying track, which I believe is the 26th today. So I am a week early. I wasn't planning on laying track until May. But I've got half of the bits I need. So I can lay the first loop, and then start working on stuff for the second loop. My plastic strips arrive, so I can hyper elevate. I think it's hyper elevation, super elevation. I can super elevate the bends, and since most of the track is not straight, that's a lot of super elevation I need to install. And then following that, I think I've got all of the electrical wiring I need as well. I just need to start placing it. I also need some cable joiners, something that doesn't involve me crawling under a wooden table and soldering wires together and potentially getting solder in my face or whatever. If I can use some solderless connectors, that will be a good thing. And they don't cost a lot. They're like $20 for a pack of 100 or thereabouts. But since I can get them on places like Amazon, it's like 5-6 days to deliver. I am running out of brown paint though, so I've got a pot of brown paint on order which will be here Tuesday, but I've got enough to be going on with for right now. I've also got a couple of other bits and pieces that just lets me, I've got to, I needed a DCC point switch controller because I have to test that the switches I have actually work. So that'll be a thing. I'm probably okay with that. I can do all that on my desk. Just have to find enough power outlets. And then once I've tested them and put them in the right position, that will lock all the track in place for using 2 circles. Oops. Okay. Because I can't remember if I mentioned what was I saying? If you're using switch machines on your switches, your turnouts, you need to remove the spring on the turnout so it doesn't overstress the switch machine and cause it to fail prematurely. But if I'm not planning on putting the switch machines in place, that means that the turnouts can swing backwards and forwards, which is less than ideal because that will create a big risk of derailing. So at that point I decided, well, probably what I need to do here is get the switch machines, install them without any connectors, and they will hold the switches in position, and because they're not connected to anything, there's no risk of them moving and things derailing because the switch, the turnouts are out of alignment. That's the theory. But I do need a switch machine controller just so I can make sure everything works. And I will pre-wire them because I really don't want to crawl under the table later and try and poke wires into things. So if I can get things pre-wired before I put them down on top of the tray, the tables, it'll make things easier later. I'm thinking of getting a bunch of terminal blocks so I can wire the stuff I have into the terminal blocks in preparation for wiring the main bus or control circuits in later. We still have a little edge to go. There we go. that was the brakes, that's the forwards. So I'm hoping this doesn't take too long. I was thinking, oh, I'll do all of this. All this glory, good morning, welcome to Saturday's stream. Literally just started. We've been running 20 minutes. I was actually on time this morning in spite of a fish funeral. Okay, brakes on. GPS, lower the thing, push the button. Oh, come on. There we go. But yeah, that's most of that stuff. The tree men came this week, so we now have nicely trimmed evergreen trees in our yard for the first time ever. And you can actually drive the lawn tractor underneath them without getting a branch in your face. All good stuff. It also means the kids can't climb the trees anymore, but since the prime mover behind that is not here anymore, that was less of a concern. She was climbing about 15 foot up, maybe more, and then encouraging the small kids to climb up that high as well. I'm just like, no, don't need people falling out of trees and breaking stuff, i.e. themselves. Unfortunately, with the recent storms, our trampoline needs a lot of maintenance. I might have to go to the hardware store at lunchtime just to pick up a few bits and pieces. That's all good. So as of right now, we just did the last of the up rows, so let's run over here a bit, pick a row. Oh, that one's a good row. Yes, I really don't know what the plans for this series is right now. It's like, right at this moment, it's keeping our heads above water because we have rapidly eaten through all of our money. And the rate I've been going through it is less than ideal. I will buy a seeder later, but it's going to be a 3-meter wide seeder because I don't think I've got the horsepower to be able to run something bigger. I think a lot of the equipment's like 200 plus horsepower, so we'll be limited to equipment this wide. Now this isn't a completely ridiculous tractor, so it's only about 180 horsepower. It does mean we are limited. I have not looked at what's on the store sales. I kind of don't want to because I don't want to be thinking about buying anything that I can't afford. Okay, shall we take a look anyway? Blah blah blah. Class Dominator T7. That's nice. And a big giant windrower. Nope. I don't see anything there I need. Seeing that something weird is going on with the expanded store sales mod that I'm running, which I was running in the last series as well, but it's not running out to like 20-30 pieces of equipment. It started out that way, and I'm guessing what's happened... Oh, come on. What happened there was there was a patch to it, and it patched the control file, but the control file is something you can edit. So what I did last time was I edited it, and then every time you go to the mod hub it says, hey, the version on the mod hub does not match your save, your save game version. That was intentional. Also, I think I expanded the turnaround